We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, episode number 63, getting better all the time. Welcome to the We Make Movies podcast, making the world a better place, one film at a time. And now, here are your hosts, otherwise known as the director, the actress, and who the hell is that guy? Chad, Michelle, and Garrett. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast, the podcast that's all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. I'm your host, Garrett Robinson. With me, as always, faithful co-hosts Chad Kukahiko and Michelle Lucadou, all of us independent filmmakers, members of the We Make Movies filmmaking community in Los Angeles. Hey, 20 minutes late is practically on time.
Practically.
In the cosmic sense of things.
You guys didn't hear a phone call coming in?
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Actually, was trying to call me, and somehow I went to my computer, and I heard it coming through my computer. You guys didn't hear a do-do-do-do-do, did you?
No.
Excellent. Thank goodness. Jack Zulo calling right at the beginning of the show. Congratulations.
He gets a free mention on the air, so,
Absolutely.
That's something.
Yes.
So we are back. I am back. It's my first show in like 4 weeks or whatever. So that's cool. How are things without me? Better? They were better, weren't they?
We only had one show without you, and I kind of screwed up a lot of the things. I listened to it, and a lot of the things, like my thing was peaking. Did you hear You haven't watched the last episode or listened to the last episode, did you?
No.
Just listen to the beginning, the opening. I did the hello and welcome to blah, 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 that whole recording over the music.
Uh-huh.
And my vocals were peaking the whole time. So it was
nice.
It was pretty awful. Anyway.
Sam Messman joined us,
Yes.
which was fabulous. I would like to officially from now on call him Captain Obvious because I loved some of his insights, which weren't really insights.
He was
kind of awesome.
That's what he was going for at the same time. I mean, that was the main selling point.
Well, excellent. Let's get into what we always start with every week, which is the community news. First of all, as always, we would really appreciate the love of the iTunes listeners and the YouTube viewers. Please log into iTunes, pop into the podcast, give us a rating. Very, very, very helpful if you rate us on iTunes because it helps other people find the show on the audio feed. And if you are a YouTube viewer and you want more people to be YouTube viewers with you, leave comments because comments on YouTube videos are also like a way that YouTube is like, oh hey, somebody else might like that thing. So it helps get more listeners. It helps keep us on the air. So a little rating on iTunes, a little comment on YouTube, always good stuff. And then this week is the regular writers' workshop at the Theater Asylum in Hollywood. It's good stuff. There's free fun and wine and snacks and all of that good thing. So come on by. You get to hear scripts from the community read by actors within the community. I feel like there was another community news piece, and I was trying to remember it the whole time I was writing my segments, and I can't remember what it was.
Well, there's big news coming soon. Near the end of the year, each year we wind down. We usually only have like one workshop in December and take the rest of the year off. So the very beginning of the year, by mid-November, we're going to be making some big announcements. There's a real big paradigm shift coming. I talked about it a couple weeks ago. It's for real, and it's coming, and it's happening. It's coming to We Make Movies near you.
It's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
It's real and it's coming.
Yes.
It's real and it's coming. And it's big. It's really big.
I had
coming.
You guys, I had to stop myself, and you guys are not at all stopping yourselves.
Come on.
We don't restrain ourselves at all.
Nope. Why don't we dig into the news items?
Yeah, so let's get into the general news. I have the first general news item today, appropriately, for my return. You were waiting for that, weren't you, you motherfucker?
I wasn't, dude. It just hit me.
So I just wanted to say that I am extremely excited for the upcoming film Girl, which comes out this Friday. For anybody who knows my YouTube channel, I posted a review of that book, Gone Girl. It's a film based on a book. I posted my review of the book several months ago, and it's a total mindfuck. It is just like, And so I was really excited to find out it was being turned into a film. But when I first found that out, I didn't find out somehow, like I didn't investigate that much. I was just like, oh, hopefully that will be a good film. I found out it's being directed by David Fincher, who has done like some of the best mindfuck films of all time, like Fight Club and Seven. For anybody who doesn't know, he did those films, and he's like doing House of Cards all the time. And if you don't like that show, please stop listening to our show. So anyway, without discussing it too much, because it's hard to do without spoilers, like it is a total, you have no idea what's going on, and you think you do, and then you don't, and then you think you do again. It's totally just like,
I don't see how they're going to be able to translate that element into the film. I don't, because the way...
Have you read the books?
Oh, yeah, I read the book, single.
Book, yeah, books.
Why do you keep saying book with its S sound at the end of it?
No, you're right. Sorry, it's a book. Sorry, my bad.
Not an S, an S sound.
Are you talking about because of the journal?
Yes.
Well, they're doing the journal and they're apparently the whole first half of the film is very. Yeah, they're doing that.
Okay. That's cool. One thing, even if you have read the book, by the way, I don't know if you've done much research on this film, but apparently the author is. You read the book. Fucking with you, just so you know. She has specifically said she's changing the ending.
Yeah, I heard that in the review that I read.
Yes.
I read a review on the Post this week or something like that. So I hope that the ending is slightly more typically satisfying, because like I remember finishing that book and just being like, well, fuck, like.
But it was the only way it could have.
Yeah, it was perfect. It was so good.
I'm afraid of being disappointed. Like if it ends up being this typical like, oh, and they skip off into the sunset or whatever. I'm afraid of that or some version. Anyway.
Yeah.
Exciting.
I can't believe it's
I'm still gonna wait a bit to see it myself, because I am not that I'm not a Ben Affleck fan.
But he ruined Daredevil, and you will always hate him for having ruined Daredevil.
You know, you've hit the nail on the head right there. I
know. I know. We've said this on this show before.
Yes, he did ruin Daredevil. He really did. Anyway.
So Michelle, you've got news.
I have news. I have I watched. Okay. First of all, if you haven't checked out Steven Soderbergh's website, you should. It's cool. It's called Extension 765. And then there's a lot of like swag from Ocean's 13 and like random art for sale from films and like all that shit. But there's one section called Salon de Refuse.
Disney store, basically.
It is the Soderbergh Disney store. But there's one section that doesn't show up when you first go to the website. So you have to like kind of search for it somewhere else. But it's called Salon de Refuse. And it's like amazeballs. It's just like the random musings on film from a master of it. So there's this really cool thing I just watched this morning. Watched Spielberg's Raiders of the Lost Ark. And Soderbergh took out the color and the sound and then actually replaced the sound with annoying techno music, but that's neither here nor there. It's really cool because he's like, hey, watch it without the color or the sound, and it forces you to pay attention to Spielberg's like really brilliant staging of the film. Now, and I don't know a lot about like how shots are built and like laid out and like what the rules of movement are, like if you're here, you have to cut here, what the cutting patterns and all that stuff. But I sure as hell did know a lot more after I watched it than I did when I started. So it was really cool and really interesting. Yeah. I mean, like, there's the section where like she's drinking with the guy and they're going shot for shot, you know what I mean? And like, so it like follows the shot glass over and then like the shot, and then you see his hand come in and it comes back up to his face. Just like, it's things that I don't normally think about as a filmmaker. I mean, obviously I say filmmaker. I don't ever get behind the camera, but it's good as an actor to know too. Whatever. Anyway.
You're a liar. You're a liar. You're behind the camera right now, working with an extremely terrifying
not like running. Yeah, but whatever. Anyway. Anyway, it's really cool.
Do you know what the site's called?
It's called Extension 765.
.com.
Yeah. It's in the notes. It's Extension 765. And then, but you have to search for Salon de Refuse, DES, like refuses, because it doesn't come up when you go to Extension 765.
I'm just glad that Garrett interrupted me to ask a question that the answer was right in front of his face.
No, because sometimes a website is called something, but it's not. Like a website can be called, like for example, an author.
Allow me to ask the question I was going to ask before.
Okay.
Which was, if I can recall what it was, damn you, Garrett, your trivia nipped something important. This is what I was going to say. I was going to say I'm really excited to look at this, particularly what you were talking about, because to me that is repeatedly every time I go to it, it is the most difficult thing for me. Like I get sort of emotion. You know what I mean? I can get sort of an emotional sort of journey. You know what I mean? I feel like I can create that for viewers, but getting the sort of the space, you know what I mean? Getting the audience to kind of get the sense of the space, and so I'm not confusing them at all. That is, especially when I'm doing my pre-production, the most difficult part as a director. And then since I do my own post-production as well, since I edit everything, then it's really clear to me how difficult it can be. So especially if anybody watching, I don't even know if there's anybody watching, but if anybody watching or listening to this later is a filmmaker, I haven't looked at this particular thing. I'm definitely going to look at it though.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I just finished just before I came here an edit on my most recent short, and it was a lot more complex than I realized it would be going into it, and it's really
Was this
cool
the Wholesome one? Out of curiosity, I saw your post about that.
Wholesome,
Jay Wholesome.
Oh no. It's the it's called Steps, and we were hired by these, I swear to God, 19 and 20-year-old boys who were here this summer, and they tried to raise $4,000 on Kickstarter, ended up raising like 15 instead, and so they hired us to do it. They hired sort of like the Super Freakos individually, not Super Freako Productions per se, but they basically hired, Anyway, so it's a cool piece. Anyway, it's a cool piece. I'm going to go ahead and dig into mine, I think.
Let's do it.
You too. There is speaking of indie films, there's a UK indie film that is titled The Beat Beneath My Feet, which we probably never would have heard about at all. Luke Perry is in it. Now, they're trying to raise 75,000 British pounds on a UK crowdfunding site right now called Crowdshed. And the movie actually looks kind of fun. Luke Perry, he plays this like kind of rock god who I assume moves to some small English town to kind of hide from people, changes his identity so that people don't know who he is. And his young neighbor finds out who he is, blackmails him, and he's like a nerd, but he plays guitar, and he's going to be in the upcoming Battle of the Bands. And it looks pretty good. I think the film's already shot. I think they're trying to raise the money to help get P&A money so that they can get the word out and whatnot. But it's I hope it was a recent, I just stumbled on it this morning, and I really, really hope it just launched, because of the 75,000 they've only raised 4,000. So it looks pretty good. I don't think anybody from the US can actually give money to it. I know that on Kickstarter, nobody outside the U.S. can give on Kickstarter, so that's kind of a bummer. But if you are paying attention to this and you are in the UK, go check them out. They're at scoopfilms.com. The Beat Beneath My Feet, it's right there. You could just search for The Beat Beneath My Feet on Kickstarter as well, and give them money. I kind of want to see this film now.
Nice. I kind of want to check it out. I've always been a huge Luke Perry fan, and all of his recent work has always.
I will let you know, I was actually at an audition a few months ago, and I went in right after Luke Perry, and I was like, I have officially made it. I'm auditioning for the same film as Luke Perry. Yeah, and if you're listening, I'd like to get a shout out to Matthew Hunt. I don't know if you were listening, Mr. Matthew Hunt, but I wanted to, speaking of Kick, Matthew donated a large amount to Garrett and my film, and is going to be coming out to LA and is going to be participating in the film. He's going to be playing a doctor in it, which is really awesome.
Does Matthew have a brother named Michael?
I made the same joke. Yes.
I think.
Yeah, you're both funny.
Garrett, you are acting like you're stoned. I think it's because we started at 4:20 today.
I am not acting like I'm stoned at all.
You're
I'm acting like
acting
my normal, charming self.
Stone self.
All right, general news. I'm moving on. I finally, in between the last show and this show, saw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nice.
Hi, it's so good. Now, it was not as good as the hype, but that's only because the hype was like a 15 and it was still like an 11. Yeah. I was like, this is really good. This is one of the best Marvel films. Like, people were like, no, this is one of the greatest cinematic experiences of all time. It's not that. Let's just get that out the way right now. And there were some things that kind of had me go, oh, okay, yeah, okay, Marvel. But there were so many other things. I thought it was actually, in many ways, the ballsiest Marvel film that I have seen so far. Have you guys both seen it? I always forget.
I have. Yes.
Okay.
I have not. In fact, I had other things to do, like produce the films.
Right. Yeah. With we got to talk about that. But with your asshole director,
Garrett was slacking.
No, but yeah, Garrett was lacking. But it was like it just wasn't afraid to show like people die, and yes, they weren't main characters; they were like small character. But like, dude, like person gets crushed in the face by a falling spaceship, and you're like, oh, geez, I like right at the perfect time for the last minute rescue to come in. Instead, it's a few minutes later, and like a lot of people die as a result, and you're like, holy crap! And then the soundtrack thing. When I heard that the soundtrack was all '70s music, I was like, what the hell? How are they going to do that? And I liked that explanation. Yeah. All that stuff was kind of cool. Great. So, what's even more interesting about that to me, though, is with Guardians of the Galaxy in general, is that now they're going to start crossing over into the Avengers. And we're going to have Drax start appearing in some Avengers singles movies first, and by Marvel Phase 3 or Phase 4, we're going to get a full-blown crossover Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's cool. I can't wait to see that happen. Yeah. So yeah, if you still haven't seen Guardians, don't feel bad because it took me a while to get there too, but go check it out.
Yes, but don't get suckered into the hype. It's always a mistake to get suckered into the hype entirely.
Yeah, for sure. Also, quick aside, sorry, before I hand it over, Captain America 2, also fantastic. Really, really good. So
go ahead. Another quick aside, I think I know what your other community news was. We shot the most recent sketches yesterday. Was that what you were going to say? No? Am I on a lag with you guys?
Mine? No. I was trying to think of what it was. No, it wasn't. That wasn't the thing. Okay. But we did. Well, anyway, we shot sketches yesterday.
Yeah. We did, and in fact, it was a blast. And there are a lot of new outros. I don't know if you're an outro fan out there. Just letting you know. There are a lot of new outros. In fact, I'd wear some lederhosen, a cop uniform, a motion capture suit.
Michelle,
you got all kinds of stuff
like a bright light.
Oh, it's my personality.
Oh, Chad, that's so sweet. I think we have one outro fan in the house. Matthew Hunt told me to lay off the sugar. Hey, Matthew. Good to see you, buddy. Can't wait to meet you.
I love it. So I have things. I do. Yes. Okay, so there's a great article. I am like obsessed with No Film School. .com. It's my new favorite website, and I'm sure this is not a secret by now. But they had an article this week about marketing your indie film, and I was like, yay! I need to know all about that. So I read it with veracity, and it's a good reminder of some really important things. And I think if you're interested at all, go to nofilmschool.com and check it out. But a few highlights. Stay on topic. I think people forget that their film, regardless of what their film is about, is a brand. It is a brand. You need to figure out what your brand is and make sure that your marketing is directly in line with your brand, with what you're selling. I think that's really important. And what's interesting I didn't think about is that like pictures are everything. Yes, pictures like a photo for the poster, but I mean like high quality professional production stills are like paramount, like when you're trying to market a film, when you're trying to get it out there. So like the extra money that it takes to hire someone to be taking really great stills of the film is absolutely worth it, because you have these stills that you can use for marketing, for getting the word out there, whatever. Graphic design, so important. Anyway, enough said. It's really great. So it's nofilmschool.com, and it's just about marketing your indie film. It was like there's like a top 10 of like things you need to remember. I mean, some of it, like all of it, was kind of a reminder. Some of it was a little bit like, oh yeah. But I mean, going into production
and
on
a quick note. A quick note for the person doing our show notes after this, I think, is Sapna. Sapna, please find that link and put it in the show notes because I really want to read that article. That is straight up my alley, and it sounds really, really badass. And I will write it down for myself to put it in the YouTube description as well.
Michelle, if you can actually, I'm the one who sends Sapna the notes. So if you could go ahead and send me that link, that would be fantastic.
On it.
By the way, I don't know if you heard this, but just this past Thursday, Bloomberg Business Week posted an article about how the FAA has agreed to allow 6 production entities to fly unmanned drones to make films. The stipulations are that they'll only be allowed on closed sets, flown by certified pilots, and can only be flown up to 400 feet. In addition, the producers are also supposed to notify the FAA before the flights happen, have the drones inspected before they happen, and that the drones are never flown out of view, so you can't fly it around a building. You know what I mean? If you can't see it, you can't fly it there, basically. So there's been a lot of pressure, actually not just in the film industry, but across various different industries to get the FAA to loosen up on their drone regulations. Amazon has been trying to make good on promises that they're going to be able to deliver items by drone for well over.
So excited!
There's a Roto Pizza that apparently delivers pizza via drone. There's also a company out of the San Francisco area named Darwin Aerospace, and they have created a service, though they can't launch it yet because it's not legal, but they've created a service called Burrito Bomber, which does pretty much exactly like what it sounds it does.
That is amazing. I just get the picture of, like, da-da-da-da. They got to put little speakers on it and play Flight of the Valkyries every time they make a delivery.
Right. Nice, strapped to the burrito. It's actually, there's video of it online. You can check it out. And it's actually, it's not a drone, it's not a drone copter. It's a drone plane. So it doesn't stop. It drops it in a little parachute, and it goes down, and the burrito, lands where they say it's going to land.
Okay, I mean, does anybody else go to, like, potty humor when you hear Burrito Bomber?
Yeah.
No? Okay.
So, now, can you, maybe you do or don't know, but, like, are we, because I know people who have drone cameras and all that sort of thing, is that one of those things that, like, lots of people are doing it, but we're technically not allowed to?
Current FAA rules allow for you to do it for as a hobby or as an art for artistic purposes.
Okay.
That are not commercial purposes. You can't.
Wow.
Do it now, mind you, we just did a project. I don't know if I can say this actually. Come to think of it. I don't know. Anyway, there was a
We
project.
may or may not have just done something.
I didn't sign an NDA, but it might be covered under an NDA that I signed a long time ago. Anyway, there's a project where there was some drone work happening for an unnamed brand. That was not easy because it kept getting shut down by local police. And if there was a person amongst the three of us that was there and witnessed this, they would probably say that it was kind of a bummer that it kept, but it did get, it did happen, but it was completely on the sly. There are very specific rules under which you can do them, and none of them include, delivering books you buy off of Amazon yet.
Yet.
But this is but this start, this is definitely a start. If they're doing it for hobby, like you would fly a toy copter or a toy plane,
right?
You know what I mean? You can do that. That's legal, up to 400 feet.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I think the fact of the matter is that, like, jurisdiction as far as, like, laws as far as film is concerned and filming and technology, that it's never going to be able to keep up with the advancements in what's going on. So,
For sure.
I mean, even with, like, new media, like under like the SAG new media contract, like that kind of thing. They can't. And so there's always going to be a little bit of like lag time between the, you know.
And I mean, right now it's kind of gray area right now with indie films in particular, because it's like it is a hobby. You're not making money off it. You know what I mean? So you could make it. It really just depends on what you can get away with. You know what I mean? Who the cop is that you're in front of, and if there's been sort of a mandate from on high in his department. You know what I mean? That's pretty much
it's the sort of thing where like I feel like, and anybody listening, take this at strictly not as legal advice and not anything that you should adhere to. But if you did it,
get your legal advice from Film Geeks, please.
Right, exactly. But like if you did it, I couldn't see you getting into trouble. Like I couldn't see somebody being like, hey, did you get that with a drone? I don't know. It seems kind of. I want to get a drone, is basically what I'm saying, and use it to make films and sell them online.
Ooh.
I've not heard too many people, especially indie filmmakers, get busted for getting footage after the fact.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's during.
Yeah.
But I have not heard of people get chased down much after the fact, unless it's a person that absolutely does not want to be in your film. But if it's like a location, you know, generally once it's done, I have personally not heard of anybody get busted after the fact.
Yeah, for sure.
I will. I know when you I went to Runyon Canyon a few days ago, actually a few months ago, and it was just so weird. I walked into Runyon Canyon, and there were like baby strollers everywhere. And like no babies, there was just like people hanging around the baby strollers and people just standing. And I just kind of like, it was just this weird, surreal thing that happened. I walked in and walked through, and I was like, what's happening? So an entire film crew had set their, and then I just stopped. I was like, what is this? An entire film crew had put their cameras inside the baby strollers, so the cameras were like facing out. There were two different like cameras facing the scene that was just like two random women that were standing there. Then there's like a director that's like a baby stroller who has like the baby blanket over his head, like watching in like the playback. It was like, that is some sly shit, man. Like it was, I don't know, it was really awesome.
That's pretty awesome. Love it.
Hey, Matthew Hunt just posted another comment. If you want to, I can't see it anymore. It vanished from mine. But if one of you guys want to post it up on your thing and
I don't have it up yet.
Michael?
Yeah.
Basically, that it's a privacy issue also with the drones. Yes. But we should be shooting onward.
Okay.
Into the main topics. So, because I know that a couple of these are probably going to go kind of long. My main topic today, a little bit heavy, and Chad's is too. So.
Mine's not.
That's in a matter of opinion, but sure.
Well, I mean, it's definitely not a light topic for people that it happens to, and I feel quite strongly about it. But I want to talk about. Sorry?
Dick pics.
Dick pics. Okay, if you frame it that way, I'm all good. Like, I'm all good. So I want to talk about sexism, sexual assault, and abuse. Yeah, and how two communities that I'm part of have reacted to it in very, very different ways. I am a gamer, and I am a YouTuber. So let's talk about gaming first. So you may or may not be aware of the whole hashtag Gamergate blow up in the video gaming community recently. You guys heard about this?
How could you not? Of course.
Gamergate?
Okay. Gamergate. Yeah, see, Chad, I thought that, like, this is the sort of thing that, like, not everybody actually heard about. Yeah, so several prominent women in the field of gaming, both in gaming journalism and in game development and creation and everything like that, were recently relentlessly and psychotically attacked by certain parts of the online gaming community. Yeah, there were a few different scandals. They started in various ways. For example, one female game developer was accused of sleeping with game journalists to get favorable reviews, and this caused a huge shitstorm because she shouldn't have done this, and it was like, we're campaigning for journalistic integrity, and of course the only flaw in that statement is that not one word was said about the journalists who supposedly posted favorable reviews, who actually didn't, if you check the facts, which is weird. The people that they said that she slept with never reviewed the game, and the people who did review the game didn't ever, like, nobody ever said that they. It was very, very weird. So but regardless, nobody was like, Nobody was like, these journalists. They were like, this bitch. And I say that word because they said many worse words. And then another game journalist, a girl named Anita Sarkeesian, was accused of lying in a Kickstarter video to and the Kickstarter was to make a web series about feminism and misogyny in video games, and she was accused of lying in the video to get more funds and so on and so forth. And the thing is that however the things started, it very, very quickly went psychotically over the top. These women, both these women and also several other female journalists who wrote articles about the situations, were threatened with death, threatened with rape. Their personal information was posted online. Their home addresses were posted online. Their phone numbers, the phone numbers of their families. One of the girls basically wrote an article where she says, yeah, so my dad gets several phone calls a day from, and he just picks up and it's just somebody saying your daughter is a whore, like, over and over again. So, not good things happening. Really, really shitty, fucked up things happening. And many people obviously spoke up. Yeah. Right. So many people spoke up against this. I posted a video about it. And anybody who did was attacked themselves, including myself. Like, that vlog has the most negative comments, more negative comments than the entire rest of my YouTube channel, all combined. Wow. And basically, the defense was, what's funny is that not just those people who were attacking these women, but when I vlogged about it, the most common response that I got, and the most common response I've seen on other people's posts and videos about it and whatnot, is, well, your argument is false because not all gamers act that way. And it's like, well, for one thing, didn't say they did. For another thing, really missing the point. But there has been this, like, tremendous backlash of when you post things like this, it's like you're accusing the whole gaming community and you're mislabeling us as misogynists, and we feel harassed for that. They feel harassed for being mislabeled as misogynists. Anyway, I'm very passionate about this. I'm trying to keep myself relatively upbeat. But, like, by contrast, let's look at my other big community that I'm a part of, which is YouTube. Love YouTube. Spend a lot of time on YouTube. Have a YouTube channel. There have been a few incidents over the last year of YouTubers, especially prominent YouTubers, especially male YouTubers, and for some reason especially British YouTubers, sexually harassing and assaulting people. The most recent one you might have heard of was Sam Pepper, who made this video where he would sexually assault women as a prank video. Like, he'd come up and, like, just grab them and start, like, making out with them on the street, and then, oh no, it's just a prank video, and then get their, like, consent form signed, and then they'd be on the video and everything. Because that's funny, I guess. It's not, obviously. Earlier, and actually another one has kind of just come to light, there were some YouTubers who have basically seduced female fans when they were in a marriage, or they've seduced underage female fans and sort of gotten into abusive relationships with them. So stuff has been happening. Several incidents over the last year and a bit. In every instance of this, every time this has happened, the YouTube community as a whole has acted out. They have come together, they have denounced these people publicly, all of the biggest names and all of the small people as well, like down to, like, me and the other people on my level with, like, less than 1,000 subscribers, but all the way up to the Vlogbrothers and Tyler Oakley and Hannah Hart and all these guys. They all get out there and they're like, this is totally effed, this is not okay. These people, you should unsubscribe to their channel right now, and then also make videos about how sexual harassment is a problem in the community, that it comes from the fact that these people become famous and then it's easy for them to manipulate other people, and they go, listen, it's not your fault if this happens to you, and at the same time, here's some advice for how you can avoid having, like, becoming the victim of this by basically just realizing that these people are just people and can be douchebags just like anybody else. Like, it's a proactive step to, like, this is not okay, we are kicking this out of our community because we realize it's in our community, and here's how we're going to handle it as a group. So one of these reactions is responsible. The other reaction is irresponsible. And so just for anybody who thinks that Gamergate is about journalistic integrity and not the misogyny that exists in our community, just take a look at how YouTube reacted to the same situation and, like, aspire for higher things, people. And I will get to my soapbox now, but it's, like, really fucked up.
Aspire for higher.
Right.
That's really kind of awesome. I mean, that could be really awesome, like HIGHER or aspire for higher.
Hey, Spencer.
Oh.
Spencer for higher.
So here are my thoughts on that. First of all, it was Zoe Quinn's ex-boyfriend who started this whole shit. So it's not like this is any kind of, like, founded allegations or anything like that.
Right.
Second of all, I think what makes as opposed to the YouTube community, the gaming community, different from any other community is I wouldn't say misogyny, I would say objectification of women.
Right.
And you see it in every video game. You see it everywhere. The problem is, though, what's interestingly, I did a little research about this because we were talking about doing a sketch on it with a sketch group, and 48% of the people that identify themselves as gamers are women. Most people assume that everyone is in the gaming community, or the largest portion of the gaming community is men. It's not. It's half and half. It's pretty much half and half.
Right.
And the problem is, like, these women are misrepresented in video games. Like, I love a woman in a corset with a bow stick as much as anybody else, but I mean, it's absolutely objectification. And
Right.
and I think because so many people are so into the gaming community that kind of find a false sense of reality in the gaming community, they tend to objectify women as well in life.
Right.
Including women objectifying women, and it having, like, a very odd sense of what goes on. So I think that is the main difference between the YouTube community and the gaming community, and I think that it needs to be dealt with on a whole other level, like how video games are created, how women are. You cannot find a woman in a pretty dress anywhere on any video game ever. Right. Rarely can you find a woman, even Avatar or whatever, that's not wearing leather.
Right.
So,
and on a related note, same thing. Half of the gamers, the gaming community is women. It's not even close to that in terms of developers. Like a female developer, or even but like just in the industry, it's much more like the film industry, where 90% of film directors are men. Like, that's aft. In Hollywood at least, not an independent film. But it's like,
I think that's everywhere.
Is it really?
I mean, yeah, of course.
I think it's a little bit better independent,
CEOs that are women.
Yeah.
Just major companies. And actually, interestingly enough, something like 80-something% of CEOs of major companies in the entire world are 5'5" and above, female CEOs. It's like, so it's like not even like necessarily like sexist, it's heightist, it's classist, it's everything, but like the women get the shit end of the stick as far as like everything's concerned.
Right. How many Hawaiian CEOs there are?
How many Hawaiian CEOs?
Yeah, I'd love to know that.
You should Google it. I bet you the fact is out there.
I don't know.
The truth is out there.
Oh, I watched every episode. Oh, I wanted to do Mulder so bad.
I wish I
anyway.
Had more to say on this particular topic. I know this is more something that the two of you guys cover. It's a damn shame. That's all I know. The only thing I would say is that it seems to me that some of these people you might be dealing with are straight trolls.
Yeah.
And just need to not be fed. You know what I mean? It just, I mean, yes, I'm sure that there is some. I'm not saying that what you're talking about is not a much bigger problem in the gaming world than it is. All the evidence that you guys mentioned is obvious. It obviously is. My one point is just that I wouldn't take the trolls at face value, because trolls are trolls and just need to be ignored. You know.
That's true, but they make it hard to ignore when they post your family's home address online
No,
and
that's not a
tweet at
troll.
you.
I
Right,
mean,
exactly.
that's a criminal. I mean,
Right.
I mean,
I'm
yeah, that's
sure
grounds for legal
yeah.
action. Yeah, that's a whole other story.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that was fun. Okay, so
Fun.
my turn. Let's talk about something a little bit more interesting. Actually, I've lately been coming up with main topics that I just want to ask you guys about. I want to know about things because I am a fairly new filmmaker. I'm kind of new to the industry, not of acting, but of being like creating film, funding film, and stuff like that. So I read a little article on the Skeleton Twins, which I'm sure you guys have heard about. It's like getting all these this attention from Sundance, and now it's like being released everywhere. And so they interviewed the two writers and about the development of the film, and it was just interesting. It turns out it took 10 years to make this film. Like they started writing it in film school together, and then they got to page 40, and then they stopped, and then they got to page 40 again, and then they stopped, and then they tabled it for a long time. They went their separate ways. They worked for different people, and then they looked back at it at 2010, and then they're like, "Yeah, this actually has something." And then they finally got like Bill Hader attached. You would think if you can get him attached, then you could get funding. No, in fact, no, they did not get funding with a major star attached to the film and an amazing script. Like they just couldn't get funding. So like more years go by and more years go by. But eventually they got Kristen Wiig, and I mean, you can't not get funding if Kristen Wiig is doing it. Kristen Wiig, if you're out there, I would love for you to do my next film. Anyway, so 10 years, like 10 years in the making, and then finally this gets out there. So I guess my question is, here's what I learned from that. Here's what I take away from that, and what I've taken away from the past like 2 years year as a part of the We Make Movies group, which has like been the most amazing thing ever. Film takes patience. Like it's filmmaking takes patience, and I am one of the least patient people you will ever meet. And I mean, like, maybe it's just because I'm inside my own ping pong game of a head, but like,
no, it's not just you. Everybody. I mean, the thing is, yeah, it's like, I mean, these guys that this film that we're making right now, Steps. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun. I'm really glad they brought me on board. But I think they're in a rush to get this submitted into Sundance. And it's like, guys, yeah, we could rush it, but it's just gonna take time. If you had, you know, $70,000-$80,000 to jam it through post, yes, maybe we could. But the fact is that it just, you know, like, there's always another Sundance. You know what I mean? We can always submit it later. Let's just finish it. I've just made that mistake way too many times. It's one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of starting off indie filmmakers is they're like, okay, first cut, no sound mix, no color, let's send it. You know, it's a huge mistake. Just wait, finish it, take the time it's gonna take, and then there's always the next. I mean, it's a short film, for Christ's sake. It's not like, you know, and you have a long life, you know. Just wait a year. It's okay. You could just, you know, it's not just you, is my point. Is you know, and I've experienced it myself. I did it like my first piece. I did it. I mean, I'll be honest. I've done it like 3 or 4 times. After being burned a multitude of times, it finally was like, all right, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of getting turned down by festivals that really should have, and it's not entirely their fault. It's because of what they saw was a flawed product. It wasn't done yet, you know?
Right.
Anyway.
I mean, I think that's the problem. That's an interesting difference. That is the main difference I'm finding between coming from a world of you know, the Broadway community. You always have the opportunity to fix it tomorrow. There's always another show. There's always another you're always going to you're going to do the same thing over tomorrow, and you can always fix it, that kind of thing. Yeah. With film, it is finite, and there's so many reasons that film being finite is very exciting. You do a film, you have a product that you've made, you have something to show for what you've done, as opposed to a perishable thing that just goes away when it's away.
And unless you're George Lucas, it's probably not going to change once you're done with it.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
George Lucas and richer than God. Because it costs so much money. I mean, honestly, film, it just does. It costs a lot of money to do it. If you don't, I mean, and even then, it takes time to teach yourself how to edit, how to do, if you're going to go that route, like luckily a lot of us are, it still takes, it still costs money, time, money, etc. All the above.
That's the other thing I was going to say, just to offer, not really like an opposing viewpoint, but like an alternate viewpoint, is that I think that on many things, Michelle, basically, I don't think you're wrong for being impatient either, because there are many things that it's okay to be impatient on. Like us getting into production wouldn't have happened if you hadn't been like, no, let's make it now, let's make it now, let's make it now, and like let's get the resources and figure out our assets and logistics, and then let's do the Kickstarter. That was you just being like, I don't want to wait for anything, I want to do it. But then Chad, you're also right.
Yeah, I don't think that they're differing points of view. I think
on the artistry, that's when you've got to be like, no, we're going to do it until it's right.
Exactly. Because I think that the desire to do it and do it now and do it well is the same thing as like not giving it away until it's done. To me, they're the same. They're one and the same.
Right, and I just think that like, I think that some people, the reason that I want to clarify this is I think that some people are okay with taking the opposing viewpoint of taking 10 years and not producing their first short film.
No, let me clarify. I don't mean like wait.
Right.
I mean work. That's the difference.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm not saying
don't compromise quality. But
exactly.
But get
Don't go home and turn on your fucking TV. You know what I'm saying? And start watching old episodes of X-Files. Not that that's a bad thing, but I'm sure this is a copyrighted thing. I'm sure this is not legal what we're doing right now. Sit at your computer and edit and you know what I mean, and work and that's what I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're all agreeing. Yes. It's just like the newsroom. It's a bunch of white people agreeing with white people.
I'm not white. Why is everybody calling me white?
No, I'm talking about the newsroom.
I'm a very light-skinned Hawaiian.
But like, I think we're all agreeing that like we need to like the being patient part should take place after the filming.
Right.
And the being impatient part should be before the filming. Though, I mean, I wonder, because, you wait until you get the perfect actor attached or you get the perfect whatever. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think perfect is the enemy of good, but
for sure.
Do be patient. Do be patient if like somebody's like, well, I'll totally fund your film and tell you about and give you a little bit extra, but I want full creative control. Then it's like, no.
Yeah, right.
No, that's again where you want to like don't sacrifice quality or your principles or whatever, but also like keep working on it, like
it's
keep doing
balance,
that thing. Exactly.
I mean, like I'm not going to pretend I was upset early on when Rwanda Blend didn't get finished with all the other films. And then when I saw Rwanda Blend a year later, it was only a year later, I was like, I shut my mouth. Mm-hmm. And I went and I talked to Sam Rosenthal, the co-writer and director of that film. And in my opinion, it's the best thing that has come out of We Make Movies, in my opinion. Yeah. And it's
you don't like the dick jokes in Overnight? What the hell, man?
Overnight's fun. It's very fun. It's no Rwanda Blend. Rwanda Blend, oh my God, so good, so fun. Anyway,
and if you're listening and you want to go check it out on, you can go to our YouTube channel if you're not already there, WMM Originals, and check it out.
Just wait till this is done.
I mean, we're saying important things, people, life-changing things.
I'm going to go ahead and
we should hear Chad's life-changing.
Yeah.
Yes. So mine is nowhere near as deep as Garrett seemed to think it was. I mean, maybe he. Anyway, I'll just get into it and you decide. How about that? So you've almost certainly heard about the how 4chan supposedly threatened to release nude photos of Emma Watson if she continued to speak publicly about feminism after her UN speech. But what you may or may not have heard about was that it was actually a hoax. And whether or not you even heard that does not necessarily mean you heard about exactly how deep that rabbit hole goes. So here's sort of the latest on the story if you have not been following all the deets. The first so-called revelation in the story was that it was not actually 4chan, but that it was supposedly a social media marketing enterprise named Rantic, R-A-N-T-I-C, which claimed to have been hired by PR firms in Hollywood to spread this ridiculous story in an odd attempt to bring this issue to attention. Well, Business Insider apparently continued to dig and claims that Rantic does not exist at all, and that this was all apparently the work of an anti-4chan group called Social Vivo, who apparently just wanted to get 4chan shut down somehow. Now, apparently, 4chan is retaliating. So, at first glance, I'd say that this story is just a bunch of ridiculous pranksters being ridiculous. But what's actually insane to me is that this is totally, and by the way, this is actually completely related to. There's a reason that I'm talking about it here on Film Geeks, and you'll see why. I hope as I go into the details. It's a little insane to me that the powers that be in media completely fell for this. Now, I know it's probably hard to fact check just about anything coming from, these anonymous prankster groups like Anonymous and 4chan, but I mean, I'm not a professional reporter, but I somehow think that there's probably some fact checking you can do. You might know somebody who actually knows somebody in that group, and you could just run it by them. But apparently, and I think this is actually the story here, these hackers and these pranksters basically have figured out how to wrap the frickin' media around their fingers. And I mean, I know that our priorities in the Western world are already generally pretty shallow. I think that you can pretty much bet that if there are actual celebrity photos, they're going to trump air raids and bombings in the Middle East. But the fact that a fake hoax of fake photos that don't exist could also trump all these things is a little nuts. I mean, it's a little bit nuts. It's just, I'm not pointing this out to encourage you all to use silly pranks to draw attention to your projects, but to hopefully illuminate just a small portion of this kind of insane state of our media today. I mean, I have no idea how to grab the attention of audience and media in the way that these guys do, but I kind of have a feeling that form is more important than content to them anyway. So if you are, not interested in studying what they're doing in detail, and I would not blame you, then you should make an effort to at very least sort of try to recognize the nature of the broad audience and media as a whole, so as to at least know what to expect in your own efforts when you're doing your own work, your own promotion.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I wonder if there was money involved there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, especially with media, anybody can be bought. Not to be a, Sally Downer, but
well, also there's the whole thing of cracked.com. I'm not actually generally a fan of their site, but I do think that they occasionally have really, really smart, really important articles, and it's annoying because if I subscribe to them I get all this crap that I'm just like, this is so dumb, and but if I don't check them frequently then I miss these really, really good articles, and they have a recurring series of BS news stories that fooled the media, which is like this exact kind of thing. And then also stuff like, I don't know if you saw that one, but like snow on the Egyptian pyramids, where it snowed in Egypt, and it was like a whole, that was all fake Photoshop bullshit. But like every news, sorry?
The media picked that up?
Dude, CNN picked that up.
Nope, they did not.
Yeah, they did.
Dude.
No, maybe not CSN. It was either CNN or NBC, like one of the big bigs. And it's just like, what? And it just like, and they have also done separate pieces that highlight just the 24-hour news cycle is fucked. And I know, like, it's almost cliche to say that because everybody knows it, and that's what the newsroom is about. That's what is discussed in so many shows and blogs and journals and movies. We're all talking about how fucked up the 24-hour news cycle is, and it keeps going because it keeps making money. And when you've got the 24-hour news cycle going, you want to get content that gets clicks. You don't want to be right. You don't want to be accurate. You want to make money.
You want to be first.
Exactly.
I mean, please, like, take The Onion. People take The Onion as like the absolute truth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some people are, like there's fantastic Tumblr blogs that are just composed of times that people thought The Onion was for real. And it's amazing because it's like, and clearly the readers are just going to click on clickbait. That's why I don't go to BuzzFeed anymore. I will not, because they are in my opinion, the worst at that like whole culture. In terms of their news and their thing, and it's like 12 gifs of cats who forgot they weren't dogs, and it's like, shut up! You're not providing anything of value.
Hey,
I think like the root of this problem is that like news, I think somewhere around the mid-90s became not news anymore. Mid-90s, early 2000s. I mean, like when news started, when you as a viewer started to be able to skew or to choose your news that was skewed towards your viewpoint. You know what I mean? And then like now it's become like, do you watch Fox or do you watch NBC or CNN or whatever?
I think really Garrett hit it on the head with the 24-hour news cycle. I think because that's when it you had to fill time.
Yeah.
You had to fill time, and at that point it was like, oh shit, I don't know. Did somebody, if it's dead, you know what I mean? If it's like if nothing's happening, you gotta find anything. You know what I mean? I think that's probably where it started. Once we had to fill 24 hours all the time. Before we move on. Before we move on to things to know, I just want to, if that's okay, talk. Matthew made this one. He said, "Name is not the only thing to carry a film. The pitch is. If it sucks, no money for you." I wish that were as true as that sounds. as you might think. That would be
a lot
lovely.
of times a name gets a film made that shouldn't have been made.
No, there are very specific things that get films made. One is the most important. Whether or not they can get the money back. And unfortunately, the one thing that Hollywood believes, whether it's true or not, is going to get money back is who are the stars. So, for instance, if you have one star that's worth X million, that worth, you know what I mean? You add up all your people, and that's basically generally the amount of money that they're going to give you, or somewhere around there. That's unfortunately the first thing. There are a couple of other things. One of them is mandate, like if you are Hallmark and you have to make a X film, blah blah blah. Then anyway, but I wish that were as true. Anyway, we can get into what you call, but I've said my piece on that.
Yeah. All right, so we'll move on and we'll get into the things to know. I have a very small things to know for the tiny.
Sorry to hear that. Seen a doctor? I think things can be done. About that.
No, I have a very small thing. It's a tiny thing this week. It's actually difficult to find with a microscope, my thing. No, I've started a new web series for people. Chad, you might be interested in this. For people who are interested in self-publishing, I have released a new weekly series called Nuts and Bolts, and it is on the Sterling and Stone YouTube channel. So if that happens to be up your alley, go check it out. Sterling and Stone YouTube channel. You'll see the videos there. A new one goes live every Monday. So that's my new other project that I'm fitting in along with all of my other fucking projects.
You have so much free time. Clearly,
I have a mental disease about the ability to say no to things. Anyway,
let's talk about that.
You have a thing?
I do have a thing. I do. I have a thing. I always do.
Oh, I knew you were too good to be true. Okay.
Come on.
I knew it.
I'm going to swing it. No. Actually, I do have something to know. I just started work at, I'm a new professor at Relativity University. And I am teaching, it's the first accredited university that is funded by a major film studio, obviously Relativity. which is really amazing and exciting. And there are like 20 something different majors within the School for the Arts. There's cinematography, there's screenwriting, there's commercial dance, there's theater, there's musical theater. There's like so many things. Like it's really an amazing school, and they're currently starting admission right now. The fall semester starts on October 13th, but October 13th? Yeah, the fall semester starts. It's somewhere around there. Anyway, relativityschool.com. But what's really cool is they have adult classes. So they have these little like modules of like writing a short film, producing a short film, all kinds of like really cool classes that you can go take as an adult. So if you're interested and you're in the LA area, it's like really badass. It's so fun. Like I go to work and I like, cause like I'm teaching dance and I'm like just teaching, like I'm teaching music. So I'm teaching people how to sing and dance, whatever. I'm in the musical theater production like part. But like I literally walk in and then like they're shooting Mad Men right here. And they're shooting Hannibal right here, and like here's me in my dance studio, and there's just like a random cart of like 7Ds that's like sitting in the hallway, and they're like, oops, hey, like could you go over to the morgue and like get your like CD, and there's like a full like active morgue set. Anyway, it's like really badass and it's cool, and if you're interested, relativityschool.com.
So you're Professor
room there.
You're Professor Luke.
I am Professor Lookadoo.
Wow.
Do they have a hospital set?
They don't. I tried. No, they don't.
F.
Universe.
Well, I have 3 things. Really, I'll show them
really?
quickly.
So you're one of those. Sorry from
sad.
Babylon 5.
One of those very quick things. I will show you. It's ironic that you say that because my first thing is about my girlfriend, who's a very good hula and Polynesian dance instructor. She's taking over at the the LA Belly Dance Academy. I think that's what it's called on La Cienega. The current teacher is moving basically to Australia of the Tahitian dances over there. So Kendall's taking over. And she starts, I think, Monday. I think right away. If you're interested. And she's also going to start a much more sort of hula class once the LA Ballet Dance Academy moves to their new location. I think in October or November. So go to facebook.com/Kanoa Hula. That's Kanoa Hula HULA. To get more information on that. Now the other thing is that Steps, this film that I'm working on right now, we are wrapping. Post up over the next few months. I'm really excited to show you guys this, so just keep your eyes peeled for it. I will have a website for it before too long. But finally, Quora, Quora. I don't know if you're already familiar with it. I love having conversations about all kinds of things, and I love getting into the details on all kinds of different things. And at the same time, I hate trolls. So it's very difficult to have a real conversation about just about anything online without getting hit by trolls. Quora is surprisingly civil, and it's a really cool place to. If you go onto Quora, look me up, Chad Kukihiko on Quora, and follow me. I'll follow you back, and check it out. I talk about all kinds of stuff there. I have a fourth thing. Sorry, I forgot to say this. In fact, one of the things that I just posted on there, I'm repurposing this week for my post. So keep your eye out for my post on Tuesday. It's going to be about the renaissance of TV and why I think it's happening and why it's continuing to happen. So.
Ooh. I have one more thing. Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
Only if you love Uline as much as Garrett clearly loves Uline.
They should really pay me. Those their logos in my videos a lot, but it's only because that's my shipping. That's my shipping station. That's where I ship books.
Yeah. Okay, so my thing, if you haven't gone to WeMakeMovies.org, you really should, because it's awesome. And there's a new series of blogs by each one of us, like a lot of us in We Make Movies, and my blogs are on Fridays, and they're called F It Fridays, and it's like this like actor rant or like advice or like my opinion on the business. There's a bunch of this, like Sam Messman does one, Valentina does like tech stuff, and it's really awesome. If you haven't checked it out, it's a new thing on WeMakeMovies.org. I'm having a blast writing it. So
nice.
That's it, peeps.
Okay, cool. Those are the things to know, and with that, I will call an end to this week's episode of We Make Movies Film Geeks. Thank you for tuning in. Matthew, you got to introduce it to your brother Mike. I have been Garrett Robinson. Find me at GarrettBRobinson.com. Chad is Chad Kukahiko. He looks frozen right now, but you can find him at Rico.com. And Michelle is on Twitter at @MLib. See you next week. Goodbye.
Okay, guys, I gotta go, but I'll see you at the whatchamacall, yeah?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
live.